Throughout Injustice Gods Among Us and also Injustice 2, there's something that always raced in my mind, and frankly something I've talked about quite a bit with some of my other friends. And that would be, could Injustice Superman truly be redeemed, or should he be redeemed? And I'm going to talk about why I think Injustice Superman should never be redeemed as a character, or even as a hero in general. I want to start this story off how the story of Injustice Gods Among Us starts off normally. I mean, we have him kill the Joker. That's the main plot point. We know that he kills the Joker because, well, unfortunately he is forced into killing, or more or less the death of his loved one, being that of Lois Lane, and also unborn child. Now, this is not where I believe he needs to be redeemed from. Anybody else in this situation would 1000% kill the Joker. And there's a lot of people out there that believe Batman is the true villain of Injustice because he decided not to kill the Joker, which I'm gonna leave that for another day. Maybe we'll do a video on that in the future. But still, I don't blame him at all for killing the Joker, but at the same time, we need to have an understanding that he crosses the line of more or less taking a life. And this would lead him to massive ramifications and a lot different, at least attitude and mentality going forward. Now, in the story of Injustice Gods Among Us, right after he kills the Joker, quote unquote, we jump to the present Justice League. And the present Justice League is basically trying to stop the Joker from blowing up a, well, nuke. This would eventually lead them to getting transported to a brand new Earth where Superman does kill the Joker and has been ruling over this Earth for a while. The whole world seems to be in complete and utter control by some sort of government, and basically in place by the current Justice League. Now, Superman, with the help of Wonder Woman, are able to more or less convert the majority of the Justice League into what we learn to be the regime. And the regime is more or less this corrupt government to a large extent. And the reason why I call it a corrupt government is more or less they're going to take away freedoms for the most part. I mean, at the end of the day, we see that this place is dystopian. There is no random people walking around. There is no random people just enjoying life and so on and so forth. It seems very dystopian. It seems like everything's, to a large extent, controlled. But, of course, it's controlled via Superman and the Justice League. The Justice League hasn't taken steps to fully and utterly stop every single person from doing what they don't see fit. So more or less, they haven't taken the steps to control them entirely, but they still have a government in place that is extremely strict. And as always, this leads us into more or less Superman and the regime trying to stop Batman. And the new Justice League arrivals would be there to, well, help Batman himself, because Batman more or less had them transfer over. And things would drastically change soon, because I truly believe that at this point, Clark or Superman is not necessarily in a crazy bad spot. Yes, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna clear this up. We do see Superman or Clark more or less want to kill and exterminate most, if not all, criminals before they can make any more crimes. Now, on face value, that does seem okay. On face value, that seems like that might be a good idea. And maybe even some of you believe that eliminating crime in this way is a good idea. But at the same time, there needs to be an understanding. Yes, there are people out there that will always be evil, but without actually giving them the chance of rehabilitation, it's kind of like we're just as bad as them. Where does that moral code and stop, and when do you cross the line in terms of choosing who deserves to die and who deserves rehabilitation or who deserves a second chance and so on and so forth? That's why the no-kill line is such a hard one to cross, because, well, if once you make that kill, it's really hard to discern whether or not you should kill one person or kill another, or maybe it's easier just to say, hey, let's just kill all criminals. And that's slowly the mindset that Superman is more or less coming into. But like I said, this isn't even the worst of it necessarily. The worst of it is yet to come, and more or less the major reason why I made this video, and the major reason why I believe Injustice Superman should never be redeemed. Now, with that said, Lex Luthor versus Superman normally in the normal timeline is an interesting one, because Lex Luthor is normally seen as the bad person, and even in the beginning of Injustice Gods Among Us, I mean, he kinda is. He is the bad person, but in this version, he not necessarily is the bad person. He's actually trying to take down Superman, but there's a couple ways you could look at it. Lex Luthor does befriend Superman and try to act like his friend and then eventually betray him, so you could even make the argument that Lex had to cross a line of morality to actually, quote-unquote, attempt to stop Superman. But that's not even what we're really talking about now, because at this point, I feel like he's worth saving. He could be redeemed, but not after he kills Lex Luthor, and not after everyone sees the monster he truly has become. Because once he kills Lex Luthor, once he hears everybody talking about how he's a monster, that he's this, he's that, and that he killed Lex, like he killed a good person, he flies off in complete distraught, and the first thought for him is to teach the people he's been trying to save a lesson. Now that right there is where things cross a line that you can never come back from, especially if you decide that you're going to go through with it, because he's talking about teaching the people he's supposed to be protecting a lesson, and that sounds like tyrannical rule to me. And frankly, you would think, oh no, it can't even get worse. There's no way it can get worse than that. I mean, he's literally threatening the people he's destined to save. He's threatening to blow up cities alike. But how does it get worse? Well, it gets worse when somebody that is extremely intelligent, someone that has wisdom like the gods, someone that has strength beyond Hercules, someone that has the attributes of various amounts of gods, is telling him that that's not the way to go. That they should be in check, or they should be checked, that we should be putting these checks on us no matter what, and so on and so forth. That if anybody needs to be in check, it's us. We're the ones with the superpowers. We're the ones with the strength. We're the ones that have basically god-like abilities that could alter mankind forever. That was Billy Batson, other known as Shazam. Shazam in actual world or age is 10 years old. He's a young kid. Maybe he's a little older at this point, but he's a kid, a little kid. Shazam stands there and is actually saying things that matter to Superman, saying things that should make sense, but guess what? That doesn't make sense to Superman. It doesn't matter to Superman. So he burns a hole in the kid's head. Yes, killing Shazam. From then on, that would cement, solidify, and stamp Superman in the realm of unredeemable, in my opinion. This was horrible. Killing, more or less, a child, or killing somebody that was a hero. Keyword, hero. That's who he's supposed to be helping, taking care of, honing, and basically protecting others, utilizing other heroes as well. What happens when he's not just killing villains? What happens when he starts to kill heroes? That's a line that, when crossed, becomes even worse tyranny. He believes that Shazam's sacrifice is worth it, is needed. That is where things get really scary in terms of Superman. And the thing is, well, things only get scarier. Because at the end of the day, Shazam wasn't just questioning why he wanted to incinerate an entire city, why he wanted to show the people what they were trying, or what they were capable of, and show them who was truly boss. Shazam questioned him on invading other worlds, invading worlds that basically didn't fall in line with what they believed, what the regime believed. he wanted to not only punish the people he was trying to protect, but he wanted to actually lay rule into other universes, other Earths. And that's a very scary thing, because now he's creeping on the idea of being an actual world beater, someone that is going to take over and just withstand tyrannical rule entirely and upstand it with an iron fist. It's terrifying. But you know what else is terrifying? You know what else is actually terrifying? Well, in a comic, or I believe was also a cartoon, but I believe it is both. You can tell me if I'm wrong. But Green Arrow would accidentally kill Superman's father. And yes, there's an argument to be made that these aren't even canon, and that, well, isn't really talked about that much in the Injustice game, but we do know that Ollie is dead. So Green Arrow, like I said, would kill Superman's father, quote unquote, accidentally, because Superman would deflect it, and, well, with his dying breath, he would tell Clark, forgive them, that it's okay. He didn't mean to, that you need to find solace in all of this. You need to more or less just find the hope in it all and help the people. Don't be mad at them. But Superman would kill Ollie instantly. Now, sadly enough, there's a version of this, and frankly, a couple versions, that Superman's father doesn't even die. But guess what? Ollie does. Green Arrow would still die, even though Superman's father would ask for forgiveness. But Superman still would go off the rails, losing every sense of humanity in a matter of seconds, in a matter of a moment's notice. That's how strong Superman is. That's how powerful a being like Superman is. In a matter of a split second, one decision could change everything forever. And that's supposed to be considered understandable grief. Because let's be honest, we understand his grief. We understand that he's been through hell. But at the end of the day, there is no redeeming killing heroes like Ollie, like Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow, and Shazam. Two people that were trying to only help. Two people that didn't really have anything bad going on. Well, especially Shazam, but Green Arrow, he did hit his father. And yes, don't get me wrong, if I'm in that same position, I can't confidently say that I wouldn't do the same thing. But when you're looking at it objectively, we're talking about a man with an arrow in his chest saying, forgive them. Forgive them, that he didn't mean to. Forgive them, but he doesn't. Now, I'm going to leave off on Injustice Gods of Among Us because I want to head into Injustice 2, with Superman for the most part being actually held captive in a Red Sun prison for a while leading into the game. And Batman, of course, is forced to let Clark out due to an attack of Brainiac. But Superman is still very insistent on doing it his way, on doing it the way of the regime, or the former regime in general. Now, there's a couple things I want to talk about, especially in Injustice 2, because they kind of continue on with this tyrannical Superman, because at the end of the day, he's still going to make these crazy mistakes, even after sitting there for so long to think about everything he just did. There is no change in his attitude. He fights his own cousin, Kara, because she literally exposes his messed up moral compass, exposes that he's not supposed to be the way he is. The House of El inspires hope, helps people, and that's what the symbol means. And even Kara references it multiple times, that she wants to restore what the symbol truly means, that it truly means hope, not rule with an iron fist, not control, and not what Superman's doing in general. Now, on top of that, he basically tells her and basically threatens her, saying that either that she's with him or she's against him. Now imagine being somebody like Kara, who just arrived not too long ago and has been more or less thinking her cousin is perfect and great and so on, a protector, will inspire hope, and that Batman's the villain, but then you hear your own cousin, your own blood, flesh and blood, tell you that if you're not going to fall in line, well then I will make you fall in line. And that idea will come up later on, but we'll continue on here for now. Now, going into basically after the fight with Brainiac, Superman does want to help restore the cities and places. But don't get it twisted. Superman is still open to do morally good things, at least to an extent. And most of us see that this is the right thing to do, like putting back the cities on Earth. Now, I must admit, this is definitely a plus compared to the Injustice 1 version, or the Injustice Gods Among Us version. At least, that's what we're kind of seeing. We're seeing a Superman that has some sort of moral code. It's not just like, oh, let's destroy a whole city. Let's go destroy Gotham. Let's go teach these people that don't trust us and that don't see what we're doing for them a lesson. It's not necessarily that. He does want to save these people. And part of me kind of thinks, well, maybe he could be redeemed here. Maybe somehow they can shine light on this, but unfortunately, we see that that's not the case. And it's far from it, frankly. Because the Superman ending kind of goes back on the showing of anything morally correct in his entire stint here. The Injustice bad ending, or the Superman ending we basically get, is a Superman that has infused himself with Brainiac's ship and takes this massive next leap that you can argue he was actually going to do in Injustice Gods of Among Us. He wasn't just protecting via brutality like in the beginning, but taking that next step. Like I said, in Injustice 1, or Injustice Gods Among Us, he spoke on taking that next step, the control through killing right before, well, killing Shazam. But Injustice 2 went through with it. With Brainiac's ship infused within him, he actually was able to take the next step of control through actual mind control. He would then force Batman and even possibly his cousin, if she does not submit, to more or less what he wants to do. And you can make the assumption that anybody else that doesn't submit, they would get the mind control treatment from Batman or just like Batman as well. And it's truly unfortunate because this version is the true peak of a dictator, a true peak of a tyrannical ruler, because we're not just controlling through fear. We're not forcing people to submit through, let's just say, fearful means. No, we're forcing people to submit via actual mind control, literally forcing them against their will to do anything. Like before, you can make the argument, oh, well, they didn't have a choice anyways. If Superman was standing in front of you threatening to kill you, you didn't have a choice. And that's true. To an extent, that is very true. But let's be honest. If the other choice is death, I mean, most people would not take that, but that is still a choice. But with mind control and what he was doing with Brainiac's ship infused within him, it makes it so a choice is null and void. A choice does not matter. He takes away all your freedoms and uses you like a loyal servant. So, what do you guys think? These are all the reasons why I personally think Injustice Superman should never be redeemed. But as most of you know, and as I know, redemption is never an easy path for anyone. And that would include maybe even this version of Superman. So let me know all the reasons or ways you think Superman could be redeemed, or tell me why you think Injustice Superman should never be redeemed in this world. Maybe adding some stuff that I left out, or adding some stuff that I forgot. As always, I am a comic casual, so it always helps when you guys leave comments about some stuff that I didn't even bring up. And with that said, if you enjoyed, show some love to the video by liking and subscribing. We've been growing like crazy, so I appreciate all the love and support. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the videos. It means a lot. And if you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks you may enjoy this next one on your screen right now. So what are you waiting for? Click the video.